Hi there, I'm Christine the Gemini Stitcher and welcome to my little sewing shack. This is where I create all my garments in this little shed with windows at the edge of my garden. And I've popped on today to discuss my 5 tips for the perfect shearing. Now, I don't know about you, but there's some fabulous dresses and tops out there at the moment that have shearing incorporated into them. The main one that's trending is the Mabel dress from Tilly and the Buttons. So I've popped on today to discuss my 5 tips for the perfect shearing. They work for me. I've spent a lot of time watching different YouTube videos to get everything straight in my head and incorporate it into a method that works with my brother machine. It's a top loading machine, which is a little bit different than some of the other machines out there for shearing. So let's get started. So to make the shearing elastic panels, you need your standard thread in the top of your machine, and in the bobbin you put shearing elastic. Now, there are a few ways of doing this. The standard one that everybody uses or seems to use is to hand wind it, because if you put it on your machine and wind it through the tension disc, it's going to pull the elastic and either snap it or make it far too tight, and it won't work in your bobbin. But I have found a way of doing it on the machine so that it winds consistently, adds a little bit of tension, which I find is better than the hand winding method, and it's quicker. So that's my tip number 1. So let's go and do that together. So here I am at the machine. I've put the bobbin onto the bobbin winder and turned the speed on my machine down to its lowest setting, just so that I've got a bit more control when I'm winding it. And I've got my shearing elastic all ready to go. So that was fairly easy. As I said in that little demo, I wound it round the bobbin casing a little bit, put it on my winding mechanism, didn't put it through the tension discs, gave it a little bit of tension with my hand, turned the speed down to minimum on my machine, locked it in, pressed the button, and controlled the tension with my hand, and quick as a flash, we've got, I don't know if you can see it properly, the casing has been wound with elastic a lot more evenly than it would be if I'd done it by hand, and certainly a lot quicker. Tip number 2, when you're using a top loading machine, is about the tension in your bobbin casing. So we'll pop back over to the machine and I'll show you what I do to make it work right. Okay, so we're here at my brother machine. I'm going to take the flatbed off, then take the front off, take the bobbin casing out of the machine. Now, I'll try and get up close so that you can see. There are 2 screws, and it's the one that is the flathead screw there that we're going to tighten. We're going to tighten it to its maximum with a little screwdriver. Now, top tip for doing this, try and remember how many times you've tightened it round the screw so that you can put it back to normal afterwards so that your machine works right. So I'm counting 1, 2 full turns as tighten that screw, and that's going to help with the tension with the elastic to make it stretch when it's sewing and create the shearing. Okay, so I've popped that casing back in my machine, and now top tip number 3 is how you thread the elastic into the bobbin to make it work properly. So I'll just grab the bobbin elastic and show you how I do that. So my casing, I've tightened the screw. Can you see this little notch here? There is where you put your cotton through. And then on my machine normally, on the top plate, there's this little panel that you wind your thread through, cut it off at this end, and then it pulls through automatic when you start. But I found that when you're doing shearing elastic, if you do that, then you struggle getting the thread up through the mechanism to the top. So what I do is manually put the casing in and the bobbin, manually pull the elastic through the little notch, make sure that it's caught in, and then manually pull it through using the top thread. So here goes. Let's get that out of the way. So we've put that into the machine, put the elastic in, and then I'm holding the bobbin and manually pulling that so that it's tightly through that winding mechanism. Then we grab the top thread, hand wind it, so it grabs hold of the elastic, and then I can use my little screwdriver that I was using to fiddle it. There we go, get through that loop and pull the elastic through, and that's threaded up now. I can put the top section back on and we're ready to start shearing. So we're going to do the first row, and you've got to remember to back tack at the beginning and end of every row. So here we go, we'll turn our speed up a bit. We need to increase the stitch length to either 4.5 or 5. I prefer 4.5, and we'll get our first row shearing done. Don't use your automatic snipper at the end, disengage that and snip it manually. So there's the first row done. Starting to look stretchy. So we'll go and do another 5 rows, and then we'll have a look what it looks like. I use, as a guide, I do my first row and I mark that where it needs to be on the fabric, and then I use the edge of my presser foot as a guide, line that up with the last row, stretch it out so that it's flat, and start stitching your second row. So that's tip number 4. Use the edge of your presser foot as your guide for your second and every other row, and then you'll get straight rows, and it saves you having to mark it all out on your fabric. So mark your first row, use your presser foot for the subsequent rows. Okay, so there are our 5 rows of reasonably stretchy shearing. It's nice and neat, apart from all the loose threads that need cutting off on the back. It's sheared evenly because I did the winding on the machine, not relying on my hand tension too much. So that's 4 tips. And the 5th tip, which I think everybody knows, but I'm putting it on just in case, is using a steamy iron, which tightens all the elastic up on the back and improves the look of the shearing. So we'll go and do that, and then see. Right, so I've got the reverse of my shearing facing upwards. Hot steamy iron. I'll just get the steam going on it. There we go. And I hover it over the top, but I don't touch the elastic. With the steam, and give it a good steam. And that's it done. So there's our shearing elastic, which has ruched up a little bit more and evened it all out with the steamy iron. So they're my 5 tips. I'll run through the 5 of them again now and prop them up as hints on the screen, and I really hope that it's helped you tackle shearing elastic. So number 1 is to wind your bobbin on your sewing machine using hand tension, not the tension discs. Tip 2 is for top loading machines, and it's take your bobbin casing out of your machine, find the little flathead screw at the side and tighten it to maximum. That helps with the tension in your elastic. Tip number 3 was to manually thread the elastic through the top of the bobbin casing and not put it through the channel that snips the end off. Put it back in the bobbin casing and then manually pull the elastic through from the back to the front, bottom to the top. And then tip number 4 was to use the edge of your presser foot. Mark your first line, get that straight and true, and then use the edge of your presser foot against the last row of stitching to keep your line straight. and then you get nice straight lines for your shearing elastic. And then tip number 5 was to use a hot steamy iron to tighten up the elastic and create a lovely ruched effect. Put lots of water in your iron, get it hot, get it on its maximum steam setting and hover it, but don't touch the elastic, and you'll see it all tighten back up again because it's been stretched out when it's been used in your sewing machine. And hopefully that's what you'll end up with. Lovely shearing elastic. I hope it's been helpful. Let me know in the comments, and indeed let me know if there's anything that I've missed that you do that makes your shearing elastic work, and then everybody can share and we'll all be shearing experts. Take care everybody, and happy sewing. Bye for now.